retro food fans, today we're going to go to 1945 and I am going to make a holiday cookie that you're going to love. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Jill and this is YesterKitchen. So today is part one of my three-part December holiday series. Yay! We are going to do one dessert and two side dishes to celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah in this series. And I'm super excited to share some recipes with you. So today we are going to go to 1945 and we are going to make holiday fruit drops. They are a delicious cookie that's kind of based on the flavors of fruitcake, but you don't really have a fruitcake going boo-doo-boo. You know what I mean? You get little cookies and they're really good. So because it was 1945, the war just ended and food rations were over and the crowd went wild. You don't know about World War II and the food rations? Check out these videos when you're done with this one and I will tell you all about it. So because the food rations were over, that means sugar was abundant again. And America had a sweet tooth and we were making all kinds of delicious desserts. This really is a pretty sugary cookie, but it's reflective of the times. Let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1 cup of shortening. And I always buy them in just these cute little blocks that are already measured a cup and ready to go. And I know what you're asking, can I substitute butter? Yes, you can. Shortening, it just makes the dough a little more flakier than butter would, so it's a tiny texture difference, but it's gonna come out delicious either way. And to that, we're gonna add 2 cups of brown sugar, and as you can see, I've packed it in the measuring cup before I put it in my bowl. And then to that, we're gonna add 2 eggs. Now you remember my trick, right? We always crack an egg into a bowl first to check for impurities and then we put it into our mixing bowl. So we've got 1 egg, that one looks good. And we have 2 eggs. And that one looks great too. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our handy dandy mixer and we're gonna mix until it's fully combined. Let's get started. Okay, that didn't take long, maybe a minute. Just make sure it's really well combined. And now you're gonna take a little spatula and just kind of make sure it's all pushed down on the sides. There we go. Now to that, you're gonna add a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. And you're just gonna go ahead and mix that in as well. Always shake off your beaters. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix our flour together. So I'm gonna move this over for a second. And here we have 3½ cups flour, to which I am gonna add a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. And if you ever wondered why salt goes into cookies, salt activates the baking soda. The more you know. So anyway, you just take a whisk and you just very gently mix that in. It really doesn't need a long time, just a couple seconds. Okay, now we're gonna bring our batter back. And I'm just gonna mix it in a little bit at a time. Let's see, just so you can see it. All right, here we go. All right, it's mixed in. Get all the stuff out of the way so I can show you step 2. Now you're gonna add your fruitcake flavors. This is just such an easy cookie that comes together so quickly. I actually happen to love it, especially since it's from the 40s. But I love it anyway. It's different and it tastes really good. And I think you'll like it too. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take 2 cups of pitted dates that I have chopped up because a whole date in a cookie is a little much. And then I have, you know, these red candied cherries. They always show up around the holidays. So I bought an 8-ounce container, which is exactly 2 cups. It's what you want. You want to cut the cherries in half. If you actually cut like one half bigger than the other, just cut the bigger half in half again. It's just fruitcake. You can do whatever you want. And the last thing I've got is a 1.5 cups of chopped pecans. And that's it. If you want to substitute the green cherries in for it, you can, or I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I guess you can do, you know, the candied pineapple that comes in there too, the different candied fruits that you buy to make fruitcake. If you want to substitute those, you can, but you know, this is Christmas and it is a Christmas cookie, and those red cherries have this beautiful red color. So now, as you can see, all I'm really doing, I need a second spoon, is mixing all this glorious fruit in. It's a relatively medium soft dough, so it's gonna take a little elbow grease to get the fruits and nuts incorporated, but it's really not that bad at all. Okay, so here's our dough. Isn't that gorgeous? So now the dough needs to take a nap. So we're gonna put it in the fridge for 1 hour, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna make these cookies that you are gonna love. Our dough has been resting comfortably in the fridge for an hour, and here it is. It looks exactly the same, but it's really just pliable, and it is ready to make some cookies. So we're gonna start making some cookies. I'm gonna bring in a cookie sheet. These are one of my favorites, just super flat, and you want these guys greased. So I use baking spray, which includes the flour, and I highly recommend it. So I do have one of those adorable little, looks like mini ice cream scoops that you can make cookies, and it broke this morning. So I'm gonna have to do this old school, but because we're YesterKitchen, I never mind old school. If you have one of those cute little scoops, by all means use it. But if you don't, then you're gonna do it just like me. So I've got my cookie sheet, and I have 2 just tablespoons, 2 regular tablespoons. And all I'm gonna do is start doing this. And my oven is set to 400. This recipe is gonna make about 8 dozen cookies, so you are gonna have plenty to go around. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these things finished, and I'll be right back when I'm almost done. So I've done 1 cookie sheet. I've got 2 more to go. I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the oven, and they're gonna go for about 8 to 10 minutes. You're gonna watch them, and they're really done when you push down on the cookie and the imprint doesn't stay. So just babysit them, and we'll be back when they're done. It smells so amazing in here. Take a look at these cookies. Here, I'll move them over. Well, we're gonna put them on the wrap. You want them right off the frying pan, right off the cookie sheet to start cooling on your wrap. So as you can see, you kind of push them and they kind of spring back a little bit. It's not like boing, but you can tell it slowly comes up. So now all that's left, and as you can see, I already have some in the background cooling, is to get these things on the rack. So the holidays are such a busy time, but cookie making is kind of therapeutic for me. I kind of pour a glass of wine, put on some jazz, and I spend a whole day making all kinds of different cookies. And it makes me happy, it makes my family happy, so why not? But a couple little fun facts I want to give you about the 40s while I'm doing this, because they're pretty cool. 1946, the home freezer was introduced. How crazy is that? I mean, freezers these days, we expect to have them in our house. 1946, they were brand new. So they were a little expensive, not everybody had them, and they were kind of like something people would actually bring their company over and say, hey, look, I've got a freezer in my house. Just thinking about that is just pretty darn cool. Gas was 16 cents a gallon. A brand new house was $7,700. I know, right? And the average salary was about $2,900. I love the past. I love history. And I love learning it through food. So as you can see, I have a whole bunch more dough left to go. So like I said, this will make 8 dozen. I'm gonna keep going, but this is pretty much what you have. These cookies are spectacular. They're not like hard. They have the fruitcake flavor without like the hard, you know, cake. They're light, they're wonderful, and they just make me so happy. So I hope you give them a try, something a little new for the holidays. Have you started shopping yet? Oh my gosh, I have not. So I've got a lot of work to do too. And the last little tidbit I'm gonna give you about 1945, the baby boomer generation was getting started. Not the actual, you know, the making of the baby boomer generation is started. I wonder why. All those soldiers came home from the war, found their girls, married their girls, and started their families. I really hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you make these cookies, and if you do, please tell me about it, and if you have a favorite cookie, please tell me about that too. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood, or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. In the meantime, here's some retro dishes for you. And remember, every dish, even holiday fruit jar cookies for Christmas, has a story. I'll see you in part 2 of this series.